very good morning to you, my viewers. You are onto your favorite newspaper headline review show, the Inside Nigeria, where we keep you abreast of the happenings around you. So for the first part of the show, I'll just quickly read the major headlines. And for the second part of the show, the panel discussionalists will do justice to the stories in more details. I am your regular host, T. On Joseph. Without further ado, I'll begin with Nigeria's most influential newspaper, the Leadership newspaper. On the front page of Leadership this morning, the lead story says, "The die is cast in PDP. G5 governors launch campaign against Atiku." Details on this story can be found on page 4 of the Leadership newspaper. Heading down there, the first bullet says, "Wike, Otom, Ikpeazu, Ogwani, Makinde talk tough, say party not ready to rule Nigeria." And the last bullet says, "Presidential candidates trade wars over absence at debates, town hall meetings." That is what we have on Leadership this morning. But as I always say, you can get even more stories on our website. Just head on to www.leadership.ng and you will be served. Having said that, let's move straight to this day. On this day, the list story says, "Viewers rate Arise presidential town hall high, set agenda for candidates." First bullet says, "Urge others to honor invitations to address public." And the last bullet says, "Nigerians divided over performance of key presidential hopefuls." That is what we have on this day, this morning. That takes us to the nation. And the list story on the nation says, "Women, farmers, artisans, others unite for Tinubu." And the bullet there says, "Marafa Ejubo, sure of victory for APC presidential candidate next year." That is what we have on the nation. That takes us to the Vanguard. This story on the Vanguard says, 2023 poll, over 600 cases in court against INEC, says Yakubu. The first bullet says, "You must rise above temptations," CJN warns at inauguration of election tribunals judges. Next bullet says, "He won't condone abuse of power." That is what we have on the Vanguard. To conclude the first part of the show this morning is the Daily Sun. And the list story says, "Major crisis looms in Atiku campaign." First bullet says, "Akwa Ibom governor Moore's resignation as PCC chairman alleges lack of funds." And the last bullet says, "State Information Commissioner says governor committed to PDP's sources." Thank you, viewers, for staying tuned for the first part of the show. Please do the same for the second part of the show. I'll be back your way again 10 a.m. tomorrow morning. My name is Tion Joseph. Do have a great day.
For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.
Good morning and welcome to the breakfast segment of the program Inside Nigeria. My name is Winifred Ubeba, and with me in the studio is the head of Human Rights Writers Association of Nigeria. He's an activist and of course a journalist. He's Comrade Emmanuel Wanduze. It's a pleasure to have you in the program.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. The last time I had you virtual and it wasn't so clear.
Okay.
Yeah. Pleasure. Well, as usual, we have five papers on our menu for review this morning, talking of Nigeria's most influential newspaper, Leadership. We have The Punch, we have This Day, we have Vanguard newspaper, and The Sun newspaper. And of course, as usual, we are starting with Nigeria's most influential Leadership. Leadership is on PDP's imbroglio. It says the die is cast in PDP. G5 governors launch campaign against Atiku. The die is cast in PDP. PG5 governors launch campaign against Atiku. Wike, Otom, Ikpeazu, Ugwanyi, Makinde talk, say party not ready to rule Nigeria. Presidential candidates trade words over absence at debates, town hall meetings. I'll take the leading story once again on leadership. The die is cast in PDP. G5 governors launch campaign against Atiku. Wike, Otom, Ikpeazu, Ugwanyi, Makinde talk, say party not ready to rule Nigeria. Presidential candidates trade words over absence at debates, town hall meetings. For this day, we are moving over to the Daily Sun because it's the same story with leadership. Daily Sun says major crisis looms in Atiku campaign. Major crisis looms in Atiku campaign. Akwa Ibom governor moves resignation as PCC chairman, alleges lack of funds. State Information Commissioner says governor committed to PDP's success. What's happening, Comrade?
Well, totally predictable. It's quite something that a lot of people, political analysts, have always expected, that the PDP will implode.
Yes.
Inevitably, because right from when PDP decided to abrogate somehow a section of their constitution that allows for zoning of political offices and said there was no need for that anybody can just contest, because they were planning to shortchange the South, particularly the Southeast, where the PDP is completely dominant. The Southeast is a homestead of PDP, but unfortunately, when the PDP wanted to conduct their primaries, yes, yeah, and it is the reason why the Southeast, particularly, and South maybe, it has suffered so much systemic marginalization from this government, because the government believes that that part of the country did not, give the president, give the president just 5%. And now, when you try to skim out the major stakeholders of your party, so what do you expect? And funny enough, even one of the leading, can I call it political saboteurs, one of those saboteurs who also did not stand vehemently in defense of even their own agreement, because the governors of the PDP met prior to the conduct of that primary. They met and said the presidential party ticket of their party must go to the South. They didn't specify, they didn't macro. Maybe they wanted to get the South, get it first, before they can now macro zone it to wherever they want to get. But they didn't get that.
The governor of South South, the governor of Ondo State, incidentally, is also the chairman of South South government. They did meet, and during that period, that was starting from 2 years ago, and last year they did meet that zoning, the president should be zoned to the South.
Yes, exactly. Okay,
why APC made good the promise or the declaration, PDP on the other hand was fumbling. And incidentally, the meeting was held, the first meeting was held in Asaba, where Okowa, the governor of Delta State, resided. So one is wondering why Okowa would now want to be VP. That was
that's exactly one of the issues that is tearing apart the PDP. Even though I cannot totally agree that the APC is also free from those kind of fundamental, problems. Because the PDP has also shot itself in the leg by deciding to alienate a large chunk of Nigerians, Christians, by voting for a Muslim ticket. So APC also have a very huge, a massive institutional crisis on their own that is also brewing. So for the PDP's problem is self-inflicted because this crisis could have been avoided. Then there were demands that was made by the governor of River State, whether he is correct or he's wrong, but he has a very respectable, percentage of followership among the party leadership cadre. I think you have 5 governors of the party aligning with him. So you can see that he is not just somebody you can say, maybe to use a word of Autumn. Autumn used one word yesterday against Atiku. He said, to hell with Atiku Abubakar. They're not going to vote. Okay, so you cannot say to hell with Nwike and the rest of his political group because they're quite influential. They have a large chunk of voters, particularly in River State. We're even talking about voting now because it's a voting strength. That is what we're talking about. The recent statistics that were released by INEC show that River State, I think River State is about number 3 after Lagos, Kano, River comes, So if you're not going to win River State, you're going to find it very difficult to make up the constitutionally required percentage to become the president of Nigeria. So PDP has a very huge tax. And it doesn't look like they are going to resolve this problem because it looks like they have come to the end of the die is cast. Exactly. The professional way the leadership, decided to cast their headline today. The die is actually cast for PDP, and it doesn't look like they even understand the problem they have hit on their heads because when you have the party chairman running his mouth all over the place, saying, "I have the power to stop anybody who wants to contest in our party," you now begin to wonder what is really happening. Is it that the APC actually planted moles within PDP? Because that's exactly what some persons who still have sympathy. For me, I don't have a 1% sympathy for PDP, and for a lot of people from the south, particularly from the southeast, who feel very, very alienated. We have no sympathy at all for whatever is happening in their own party, even though we are not a card-carrying party member. But as observers, who have seen how certain zones in this country have made a lot of kind of sacrifices to see that PDP retain power for about 16 years. And some of these zones are still suffering from those kind of loyalty they gave to that party. And the party now, at the dying minute, decided to betray that confidence that was imposed on them. So it's as good as let them sort themselves out. And it doesn't look like they're going to sort themselves out.
Yes. Now you talked about a fundamental problem that is occurring because of zoning. Incidentally, the Benue State Governor, Otto, was the chairman of the zoning committee that was set up, and he, at the end of the day, along with his committee members, decided to throw it open. Don't you think that him too is also to blame for?
Yeah, it was it's quite unfortunate. Both Otto himself and I think governor of Enugu State, they were all there. I don't know why they could not stand firmly and decide that the party candidacy must go to the south in agreement with what their constitution says. If you discard a very strategic component of your constitution, what do you expect? You understand? So it is difficult for you to expect that every other person will fall into line, particularly when some of those power brokers lost out from becoming. I'm talking of Wike, so let's be very specific.
Yes.
When he lost out his candidacy to become the party's flag bearer, and you now give him hope that there is light at the end of the tunnel, that he's going to be the next, the vice presidential candidate of the party. I ended up.
You set up a committee.
You set up a committee. Exactly. A committee, and the rest of them said he won and whatever. You now ended up, pushing him aside and said, you have the confidence and the belief in the governor of Delta State. And the governor of Delta State also accepted that kind of position, which goes totally, which is a contradiction of an agreement that the governors had reached before the primary. The governors of both the PDP and the APC agreed that the presidential slot must go to the south, since the north has had it for 16 good years. If Buhari goes by May 29th next year, it means that the north has had the opportunity of ruling this country for 16 good years. And now the party...
16 or...
No, 8 years, yes.
Yes,
8 years, 8 years, yes. 8 years there, 8 years there, So
and Yaradua did 2 years.
Yes, yes. No, Yaradua is that one is out of the calculation, right? We're talking about this particular dispensation from 2015. 2015 now is 8 years.
8 years.
And now you still want to retain that position in the same north. If you are retaining it in the north and you decide to give it to a northern Christian, or maybe a northern, those they call minority. I was born in the north. I don't even believe that any particular tribal group in the north is a minority, because nobody has had any scientific or scientifically acceptable head count. It has never been done in this country. Where the two times some of us have had the opportunities of being counted when they do this enumeration, they insist that you're not going to include your place of origin. They will not tell you tell them, well, I'm Igbo, I'm from Imo State. As much as I was born in Kalanchani, in Kaduna State. They don't know, we don't want that, we don't want all those ones. We don't want religion, we don't want this. So how did they get their calculation? How did APC, I'm even going to APC now, because I told you that time the APC also has their own problem. They shouldn't laugh at PDP, thinking that PDP
is the Nation newspaper has a story on APC. Let's see the Nation just before you go ahead. Let's see what Nation is saying. Say women, farmers, artisans, others unite for Tinubu. Women, farmers, artisans, others unite for Tinubu. Marafa Eibo, show of victory for APC presidential candidate next year. Marafa Eibo, show of victory for APC presidential candidate next year. So we have the APC presidential candidate.
Senator Tinubu made a prophetic statement where he said if he becomes the president of Nigeria, he's going to recruit 50 million Nigerian youths, and he's going to feed them with abado, cassava. I don't know which one is abado in Yoruba language, abado, cassava, yam, and everything. This is what he's going to feed them with. So it appears the farmers themselves are excited that if you have somebody who has promised to feed 50 million mouths with cassava, the products that is their commercial enterprise, that he's going to favor them, because he's going to feed the youths with abado, cassava, and the rest of them. Maybe that is the impression that the farmers have. I wonder whether it's going to work or not. And these other people you mentioned are card-carrying members of APC. One was the former senator. I think Marafa was the former senator from Zamfara State. Eibo was he was actually a PDP. He was produced by the PDP, but he cross-carpeted to APC. So they're all trying to campaign for their candidate. Everybody will want his candidate to win, because the moment your candidate wins, you believe that you have also you're going to be taken along, you're going to be compensated. So everybody's fighting very hard to be noticed. All the politicians in APC, it's only PDP that doesn't seem to have a lot of party chieftains actually campaigning for their candidates. You will find out that certain PDP members who are even senators, like the senator representing a part of Enugu State, till tomorrow he's campaigning for a candidate of APC. I don't know whether that statement they call anti-party. For some of you that cover, for some of you that cover politics, I didn't cover much of politics as a journalist. So those that cover politics is what is called anti-party activity. If you are a card-carrying member of one party, for instance, if you are a Roman Catholic, the way I am, and they are talking about certain things, how to defend one's faith, and you're now defending the other. Okay, let me not use religion, because that one is a very divisive factor. You can't be a card-carrying member of one party and you are campaigning for a candidate of another party. If that candidate wins, what are you going to do? It means that totally your party will be are completely alienated. Not even alienated, we will almost be crushed. Well, you almost get out of, because if you don't have the power at the center as a political party in Nigeria, where almost everything, all the opportunities, the moment somebody wins an election, everything is concentrated and domiciled within that winning party. And the other losers are just there, just with nothing, or maybe with just some small this and that, that are falling out of the table of the masters, So it's something else. But in APC, you find a lot of party chieftains actually trying to be noticed, trying to be given attention. Our candidate, please, I have said so and so thing, and I'm working to make sure that we deliver your candidacy. Go and rest. Like in Zafara State, they say they don't have opposition. They should go and rest. The candidate of the APC should go and rest that he's going to win the election. So it's just a question of trying to make effort to be noticed.
No, the campaign period is here, and the PDP, like we started with, does not seem to have been able to put his house in order with these internal rankings. Now, can PDP withstand another 4 years of opposition, of being in opposition?
Well, we must not also forget that Nigeria is not a two-party state. Nigeria is a multi-party
Then
democracy.
they run like a two-party state. So
yes, there's going to be there's likely going to be a change, because if you read the body language of millions of young Nigerians, in those days you hardly find a lot of young Nigerians spending their time. I don't want to use that word waste, because it's never a waste. Any time you spend to obtain your PVC cannot be a waste, because if you're going to participate in the electoral process, you are contributing towards the setting up of the kind of leadership, political leadership, that you want the country to have. And the quality of the political leadership you want to install will determine the state of the economy, the state of security, the state of, and when you even mention security, security is not just about life and property. Security is also about food security.
Yes.
The issues of defending the child rights, children's rights, the rights of women who are always skimmed out of the political relevance. The women are the ones that are now campaigning for some of these political candidates. But when they win, you find out that they will just give them some kind of inconsequential cabinet level appointments. Yes. Maybe women, they just throw them to the place they call Women Affairs and social development. I don't know what they're developing there, and they give them other inconsequential places, maybe Minister of State somewhere in environment. That's where they always consign the women, and the women constitute more than 40% of the voting list. So, as I was saying the other time, we shouldn't have this mindset that it is either APC or PDP. No, there's also a third party. There's also a Labour Party that is making a lot of inroads, particularly among the most vibrant and dominant segment of the society, the young people cutting across different geopolitical entities. So it's no longer a question of we want an Igbo man to win, or we want a Yoruba man to win, or we want a Fulani man to win. It is, for some of them, if you read what they are posting on social media, and the other time some of us said, well, when they're going to, it's just a question of time. It's not social media. By the time their data finishes, when they finish their 100 data, they will just go and rest. But the young people have showed us that it's not all about social media activities, that they also have their presence physically felt on the ground. But there is a problem in the country. The federal government that is led by the president himself. The president, we have to appeal to him to please be a statesman, play a role. We know that you are a party member of APC, but you are going to retire. And if you retire, it is not possible for you to ever want to contest any other elective position, maybe because of age and because of the what you have attained, politically. Haven't been a former military head of state of this country, haven't been 2 times elected civilian president of the country. You have nothing else to gain. You have nothing to gain. In fact, you have everything to lose if next year's election is manipulated in favor of a party, if you insist that my party must win this election, so the president should be told that he should let his conscience work for him. He should allow the electoral umpires to do their work independently and let the winner emerge from a very transparent, very, very free, fair. I'm not too sure whether it's going to be peaceful. I'm not too sure whether the election is going to be peaceful because already the campaign period that we are in now, this is one of the most, I don't know, because I'm an Igbo man, I didn't mean this program is an Igbo, or maybe Hausa, this and I would have used an Hausa. To explain it very well. This is one of the most vexatious campaign seasons we have experienced. Apart from when a lot of us have not even been born, when you have this operation Waitie in the southwest, when Awolowo and his other contemporaries have issues, Action Congress and the rest of them. But this campaign is the kind of campaign that Nigerians are so disappointed. Apart from only one or a few of the presidential candidates that are actually making point, actually talking about how to fix the economy, how to make this our naira. You don't now. The other time, a few years back, some of us were laughing at Zimbabwe. Zimbabweans now they have to carry their Zimbabwean dollar or whatever they call their currency in a wheelbarrow in order to buy a loaf of bread. Then you have a government that has been there for about 7 years, and the government has almost pushed us to the level of we may now require a wheelbarrow. Maybe every family has to buy a wheelbarrow now because if you want to buy bread from the next shop, maybe you have to gather your money, your naira. This naira note, you now have to gather it in great quantity in order to buy a loaf of bread. That's how the naira has been so abused, has been so reduced in terms of quality that even some rating agencies have rated the naira as one of the worst national currencies that you have in the world. So it is left for the electorate to now decide who they think will change the economy. But it is quite disappointing that rather than discuss economic issues, rather than discuss how to fix, how to even restore border security, Nigeria does not have any border security. A lot of so many entry points particularly in the north, where you have Chadians, Cameroonians, Nigerians coming to Nigeria as if they're going to their farm. So we need a president that will actually demarcate Nigeria. Say, this is Nigeria, this is Cameroon, this is the Chad, this is this. So that let us know where our problem, where the rain has started to beat us, where those armed smugglers are following to come in and supply arms to criminals, to terrorists, and the rest of them. We need the politicians to begin to tell us how they're going to fix those kind of problems, crises that we have in the country. But rather, what you're hearing now is that one of the campaigner spokespersons will be throwing abuses on the other party and saying, you're using cream, you're bleaching cream. These are not the issues Nigerians want to hear. Nigerians don't want to hear whether somebody.
In other words, the campaigns are not issue based.
They're not issue based. They are so much
based on personality.
Yeah, banalities.
Now, that is what I also want to find out from you. Given the three major presidential candidates of these political parties, prominent political parties, and three of them are from three major tribes in Nigeria. So do you see that the election is going to be on ethnic based?
Well, fortunately, so many of
we have
the young
Obi of Labour Party.
Yes.
We have Senator Bola Ahmed Tinubu of APC is from Southwest, and we have former Vice President of Nigeria, Abubakar Atiku.
Well, of the three candidates, of the three candidates, only two of them have shown that they're ethnic candidates. Only Tinubu has gone to the factional former leader of Afenifere to get an endorsement and said Yoruba must be for Yorubas. And you find an article going to Kaduna to say Northerners do not need Igbo candidates, do not need Yoruba candidates. These are the only two candidates. Then you now find a P2B who says, I'm not asking you to vote for me because I am Igbo. He's the only candidate that has been saying, I'm not asking you to vote for me because I'm Igbo. I'm asking you to vote for me because I'm a Nigerian. You understand? I think Nigerians, we should let us de-emphasize this issue of ethnicity. In as much as it is important to ensure that there's federal character principle in the selection of who becomes the president, because you cannot concentrate power in a particular section of the country, and you expect a multi-religious, multi-ethnic, a very complex society like Nigeria to experience peace. The peace that Nigeria is going to have is going to be a peace of the graveyard. If one particular tribe, one particular religion continues to produce the president of Nigeria, it's not going to work, because Nigeria is not yet mature. Nigeria has not reached that level of the United States where you have a president emerging from just anywhere. Like Hillary Clinton, that almost became the president of US, the first woman that almost became the president of the US. Hillary Clinton wasn't actually from New York. I'm not too sure she's a New York person, but I think she lived in New York when she was married. She lived in New York with her husband, and she won election to go to the Senate to represent, to represent New York. So you have a lot of candidates, American candidates, who are not actually from a particular part of that country win election. Okay, for instance, let us even see what is happening in Britain, where you have an Indian man becoming the prime minister of Britain, not even a Christian, but a Hindu, in a Christian environment, a Christian monarchy, because the monarchical system of government you have in Britain is Anglican. It's Anglican church. They are the ones in control of Anglican church. You now have a Hindu who is not a Christian becoming the prime minister. That tells you that politics shouldn't be about religion as such. But Nigeria has not reached that level of Britain or the level of US. We are still very primitive. We have to agree. We are still very primitive politically.
Perhaps what is also needed is a internal democracy among our political parties. We are witness to what transpired at the primaries, for these presidential primaries, that votes were bought, delegates' votes were bought with money. Perhaps what do you have to speak to that? You have to speak to that, because the processes that turn out these candidates is also faulty. It's premised on money, the highest bidder, who pays more, and the delegates send their votes to them.
It's quite unfortunate that we have had this kind of scenario, and it's very unfortunate that you have law enforcement agencies that are supposed to supposed to find out who are actually doing this and to prevent it from happening. They didn't do that. The only thing we saw was that EFCC appeared during the day of the primary, appeared in the stadium. I think they're going to catch. Are you going to when politicians want to bribe people to win primaries? They don't come to the stadium to give you bribe.
Right.
They know where to meet you. Yes. They get the hotels. They hire the hotels for you. Even before you leave your state, your own money has reached you. You don't have to come to Abuja to get the money. So I wonder why EFCC didn't have that intelligence to know that you don't have to come to the stadium, the national stadium, or PDP, Atiku Abubakar, or whoever is running for presidency in the PDP to give you your own dollars. So, but it's a very bad omen that you have politicians who now want to be president of this country, who actually were allegedly bought their way to power. Apart from, maybe, let me say it again, apart from Peter Obi, where you didn't hear any story of anybody. I don't even think he contested with any other person.
He was given the ticket.
Yeah, he was just given the ticket. And in fact, he also left the PDP because he couldn't match the money bags. A lot of them left the PDP or left APC because they couldn't match the money back. People like the former Minister of Education, who said he sold yams to raise that 100 million naira he used in buying the APC nomination form.
100
yes, 100 million naira. And unfortunately, he couldn't match the intensity of alleged bribery that was taking place. So he did not even run for the election.
Thank you so much. From leadership, let's see what other papers are saying this morning. Let's look at Vanguard. Vanguard has a different story entirely, and it's on INEC. Vanguard newspaper. Vanguard says 2023 poll, over 600 cases in court against INEC. 2023 poll, over 600 cases in court against INEC. Yakubu, that is INEC chairman. You must rise above temptations. CJN warns at inauguration of election tribunals judges. Says he won't condone abuse of power. I'll take that again. 2023 poll, over 600 cases in court against INEC. Yakubu. You must rise above temptations. CJN warns at inauguration of election tribunals judges. Says he won't condone abuse of power. That's the story on the Vanguard. And other people still have the story too as their second name. So what do you have to say to that?
Well, personally, for the issue of any academic 600 cases, one is not. I don't think any Nigerian person that is rational should be surprised about it because political power, political contestation in Nigeria is all about you give everything you have in order to get it. You just want to get it because once you get into political office, it is believed that political offices open the doors for wealth. You become very wealthy, you become very powerful in the society. So Nigerians who want to win one position or the other, if they're not being supported by, if they are the godfathers of themselves, when they invest, some of them sell their houses, some of them sell their lands, some of them sell so many, mortgage a lot of things to run for political offices. So if they lose and they feel that they lose in an unfair manner, or they feel that having given a lot of bribes and the other candidate succeeded in outbribing them, they now feel that the best place to ventilate their angst is to go to the court. And the courts, unfortunately, the courts have also been taken over by politicians because the other time we read the story, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, that the former president of the NBA, the young man who was president of the NBA, he made a comment in the US where he said politicians have now taken control of the judiciary. And he is not wrong. What they now do is that from the point of entry, they make sure that a lot of people who get into the judicial system, judges who are appointed, are not the kind of people, they don't have the kind of quality that are required to be a judge. They do not have, most of them do not even have a mind of their own. And even the way the judiciary is run in Nigeria, constitutionally, we need to have a kind of some kind of constitutional reforms in order to give financial autonomy to the judiciary. Because the judiciary, if the judiciary in a state, particularly, is going to go cap in hand to a governor to beg for salaries, beg for money to build courts. In so many states, you find state governors, when they're going to commission court houses, it's as if they're doing something very special for those judges. And even the chief judges of those states, when you see how they even respond during the commissioning activities, it's as if they are saying thank you to a godfather who has come to do so many things good for them in the judiciary without knowing that it is their own statutory right. So I think something is definitely wrong with the way we frame the laws in this country. You now have people who interpret the constitution because the judiciary, there are 3 arms of government in Nigeria: section 4, 5, and 6. You have the executive, you have the legislature, and you have the judiciary. And now one of the most important arms of these 3 arms, you now get them incapacitated financially, and not just getting them financially incapacitated and even completely castrated. You now also have gone as far as making sure that you bring in neophytes, you bring in persons who are not very competent, people who are not very well read. They're not the kind of people that will even give the kind of judgments you want. A lot of them, So that is the issue. So that's why you have a lot of cases piling up over and over and over again. But Nigerians want to see what the Chief Justice of Nigeria will do. The new Chief Justice is now up to a month as a Sicilian. Maybe it's just the initial that is really getting him excited that he's going to deal with how are you going to deal with them? What has happened with the National Judicial Council of Nigeria? Is that body still alive? If NJC is vibrant and is working, how many judges have you sent on retirement for corruption? Because a lot of people who know what is happening know that corruption has become very endemic within the judicial arm of government. And even the judicial heads, the heads of this judicial system of the country, have also made public confessions that they are as disturbed as a lot of other people who are watching from the outside what is going on among some of their judges. So how many of those corrupt judges have been able to fish out of the system and penalize to serve as the deterrence to others?
Yeah, that's too bad. Now, still on INEC, leadership newspaper did carry a story, leading story yesterday on Discover that after several attempts in flagrant violation of Electoral Act, INEC refuses to publish audited accounts of political parties.
Yeah,
and leadership has written, using FY Act to get access to it, and INEC refused.
And what leadership needs to do is to go to court. Because under the FOI Act, if you make a request, because FOI Act does not even require that you have to do a written request. Even an oral request is acceptable. If you look at the law, FOI Act that was signed in 2015, I don't know if it has been amended. I don't think it has been amended. Yes, the law says you have the right as a citizen of this country to request that they should give you, giving you financial records of the political parties is not like asking that they should give you financial records of how we have been fighting Boko Haram. It's not something that has to do with national security interests of the country. It's something that has to do with, let us even know how transparent, how accountable those politicians who want to rule us. So I think Leadership newspaper has done the right thing to have requested INEC to give it those kind of, because in other climes, in the UK, in the US, particularly in the UK where FOI is quite strong, you find so many of those things coming out via, through FOI requests. So I don't know why Nigeria should be a different. But the problem is that you find out that even the Ministry of Justice, that is supposed to ensure that agencies of government respect the FOI request you make. Even the Ministry of Justice, a lot of time, do not even respect the FOI Act. The FOI Act is one of the most abused piece of legislation that you have in this country. And the earlier something is done about it, the better. Now, maybe INEC expect leadership to go to court. Maybe I have to go to court to have get INEC. Maybe Madam Mus to force INEC to publish, because they need to publish that audited account. Let us even know what APC has done with the law. APC at the point became even richer than the CBN. The PDP became so rich because each person is buying a ticket for 100 million, and you have more than 40 people buying that ticket, and they have other ones that are selling 50 million for governors, 50 million to 5 million. I have so many people, over 2,000 people buying that form, which means APC would have been sitting on a gold mine of cash of over 30-something billion. Nigerians need to know what are they doing with that money? Because from snipers, from information that are coming from those two parties, to that time, even the PDP national ESCO members had to return the money that was given to them. They said, yes, we saw some money in our account. They said this money were for housing allowance. Then you begin to ask. And APC also had the same issue. APC was said to have given housing allowances to their ESCO members. And APC even went even worse than what PDP did. APC was said to have paid for 4 years allowances upfront. All the elected members of the national ESCO. The Punch carried the story where they said all the national members of APC ESCO have been paid their 4-year allowance. Why would you pay somebody for 4 years? Nobody is saying something will happen tomorrow. Or supposing the person dies tomorrow, what will happen? You now pay somebody. Okay, why are they not paying the teachers? Why won't you pay teachers for 30 years they're going to teach? If somebody is recruited today and the person is like 25 years, if you're going to pay APC ESCO members their 4-year allowances, why not pay the teachers? Because it would have been better for a teacher if a teacher is paid for his 30 years. If I'm going to spend 30 years in early primary school in Gaki, and I pay 30 years, I will use that money to do something that is better, and I will teach very well. So if I pay, it's quite unfortunate. And it is even irregular when you follow the budgeting process. It is irregular to pay somebody for a job the person has not rendered.
Thank you so much for that. Well, we are looking at the last paper we have on our menu, and that is THISDAY. THISDAY newspaper. What do you have today? Now we are looking at the first story on their headline and their paper, their cover. It says security strategy against non-state actors yielding results, says Mangoro. Security strategy against non-state actors yielding results, says Mangoro. DIA seeks reappraisal of intelligence gathering methods. We have an issue of insecurity in the country since, and Mangoro is telling us that security strategy against non-state actors is yielding results.
Where is it yielding results? Are we not living in this country? Is it talking to people who are living in the outer space? We're living with all of us are Nigerians. You know, they think everybody will run out of the country. That's why they want to destroy this country. We're not going to run out of this country. When you tell them the truth, they'll see you as an enemy of the state. If Monguno, the NSA, in the last 7 years, all he does is to help the president carry. Maybe he didn't go with the president to the hospital, this time around. But most travels that the president has had, you see him carrying a handbag behind the president, as if that is his job. he's telling us that security has improved in this country. Where has it improved? Is it not just yesterday that the daughters of the former accountant general of Zamfara State were released after 5 months? Which country in this world, even Afghanistan, which country in the world have you ever seen hostage takers bundle citizens of that country, keep them in their choice forest for as long as they want? You carry little girls, 12 years, 13 years, you keep them in the forest for 5 good months. You now decide when you want to release them, and somebody is coming up to tell Nigerians that the security is improving. Improving how? Maybe the security is improving in his own family because he has all the security protection around him. But a lot of Nigerians still do not feel safe traveling from here to Zamfara State. Let the Monguno, who said the strategy he has put in place is working, let him travel without security. Let him drive himself without security from Abuja to Zamfara. Let us see if he's going to come back.
And yesterday, the Punch newspaper did an editorial on the insecurity, rising insecurity in the southwest as compared to the north, in relation to the north. And
Yes.
We have a
lot of insecurity issues. Like the other time,
what do you think we are doing that we are not doing well? What should be done?
What should be done is that in the last 7 years, President Muhammad Buhari did not respect federal character principle. He didn't respect meritocracy. He didn't respect competency. All he did was nepotism, appointing those from his own ethnic nationality, those who share the same religious faith, as the people that are in charge of the top commanding positions in this country. Except for just very few, maybe they just okay, let us dash the South, just one. They just dash somebody that is bearing something that looks like an Igbo name, but it's not an Igbo person. They just let's dash something. And he's not in a commanding position to command the army. But the people that are in charge of the real security in the last 7 years are often people from one ethnic nationality. That's why things are not working. And then Nigerians are surprised. Now you have everybody that is in charge of whatever has to do with security in this country are from a particular part of the country. Yet that part of the country has been turned into Afghanistan. That part of the country is the same place where you have all kinds of terrorists, all kinds of armed non-state actors, and they're just operating the way they want. I mean, then the other time, even the governor of Zamfara State was saying that, well, the reason why bandits have not been defeated yet is because of informants. So you begin to wonder, who are the informants? When you have a government that was in place and even allow a kingpin of the bandits to get a chieftaincy title to be taban in that state, and you're saying informant, you're blaming informant. When right inside your doorstep, you have a deputy governor that said, this man is we used to be a kingpin of the bandits, but he has repented. So let us just see how we can accommodate him. I mean, a government that goes to bed with terrorists. So I don't understand how General Monguno want to convince anybody.
And the Niger State government also raised the alarm that ISWAP presently occupies about 4 local governments or 4 communities with their flags, and they collect taxes in that same Niger State.
Well, if he's saying that, if the man is saying that, then let it also tell us how much money is it. If it is for local governments, then how much does it collect in a month that belongs to the state? Because that was the mistake we made during the administration, whether it was Jonathan administration or even this administration, where you have Boko Haram occupying like almost 50% of the state, and yet
during Jonathan's
the state was still collecting the total amount. If the state is entitled to 10 billion naira per month, the federal allocation committee or whatever you call them, we still give that state 10 billion this thing, and nobody is rendering account because those other local government areas, like you just said now, if they have 4 local governments under the control of ISWAP, what happened to the allocation that is supposed to be made for those 4 local governments? Because the indigenous are no longer there. Some of them must have fled into Niger, some must have fled into Cameroon, Chad, and the rest of them. Do you take the allocations that you meant for these local government areas to the IDPs? No, they don't still take care of IDPs. The IDPs that are even managed to find their way into Abuja, nobody takes care of them apart from the FCT. FCT takes care of them, and maybe a few of these international NGOs that you have that are assisting them. So questions have to be asked to these governors. It's not just as easy as saying terrorists are occupying 4 of my local government areas. What have you done to prevent terrorists from occupying your local government areas before they started? Did you raise alarm? Did you talk to the president of this country, who is the one that is in charge of command and control of the armed forces. And the danger in what is happening in Niger State is that some of us, we that are in Abuja, we cannot sleep without eyes closed. If Niger State is not safe, we are also not safe, because Niger State is just a stone throw from here. So if you're in Abuja and you think you can sleep with your two eyes closed when a neighboring state is on fire, you are making a mistake.
Now, comrade, thank you so much. What is the way forward? Before we leave here, what is the way forward?
Well, the way forward is for the president. He still has up to 3 months or 4 months. Yeah,
That's more than.
Well, if there's more than it's that way.
May 29th.
What you're saying is a nightmare. It's a nightmare to a lot of Nigerians. Not just for which that is just maybe 2 months or a month. It has to go. If he has 4 months or 5 months or 6 months, whatever you call it, if there's still time for him to make some amends. He should appoint the right people. The security architecture is not working properly. Those things they're telling us are just propaganda, empty propaganda. Nothing is working yet. People are still not free. I still cannot drive from where I'm sitting down right now in Abuja. I can't drive from there to the east. During the Jonathan administration, I was driving from Abuja to my town in Imo State. I could drive from Abuja here to my place of birth in Kamanchan. I can't try that now. I can't even drive from here to Kefi, because you're not too sure who is waiting for you somewhere at the road to kidnap you. And once they kidnap you, the amount of money they mentioned, even when they drop that amount, when they mention that amount, if you're not very strong, you might even die from hypertension. When they hear that you're going to bring 100 million naira, and it's an amount that you have never seen in your entire life, maybe it will take you another 5 lifetimes to get that kind of money. You understand? So when they say 100 million, if you don't have a very strong heart and you're there, you're hearing when the terrorist is telling your wife or whoever to bring 100 million, you just stop and die. Because how is she going to get that 100 million, even if she sells everybody in your village? So that's the problem. So the country's security architecture must work. If the people of the country are not secured, then we don't have a democracy.
Thank you so much. Now, just another one before we go. The U.S. Embassy raised alert for security alert, and federal government said denied the claims, saying that it was a lie. Are you of that? Do you share that opinion?
Well, we thank the United States of America, we thank the UK for helping us. Because the US alert saved Nigerians. If not for that US alert, would have been somewhere in the federal secretariat and something we just boom, and everybody's gone. If not for the US that raised that alert and even awaken
the many Nigerians say
consciousness,
it is a propaganda.
It is not propaganda. It is not any Nigerian who tells you
panic.
Anybody, that's what Lai Mohammed and the rest of them are saying within the government cycle. No Nigerian person will say that. Nigerians would rather believe the Americans than believe their own state. Because if you have a government that has been there for 7 years and the government tells you that we're going to make life better, and life is not getting better, are you going to believe that government? A government that said, I'm going to make life better, and in less than 2 years, everybody in your family have lost their jobs, the pensioners have not been paid, and it's not just a problem of the central government, even at the state level is even worse. Some states are owing teachers for as long as even 4 years salaries. They have not paid teachers. Can you believe that a teacher will be teaching in a school for 4 years and he has not been paid? What other crime is higher than that crime? It's a crime against humanity. You know, so it is not a propaganda, because even the UK the other time raised alert about security concerns in the United States of America. What stops Nigeria? If Nigeria is serious, if Nigeria is a country that is working, what stops Nigeria from raising security alert in certain countries where Nigerians are being killed? In a country like Libya, we have a lot of Nigerians that have been kidnapped, have been taken have been taken as hostages, or South Africa, where Nigerians are dying from xenophobia. What stops Nigerian government from raising security alerts, telling Nigerians that it's so and so place, don't go to so and so place in South Africa? Did anybody stop them from doing that? It is a right of any sovereign nation in the world to tell their citizens where to go or where not to go. If a citizen now choose suicide, when they say, like today, they said don't go to 22 states in Nigeria. I've not even checked if my state is there. When they say don't go to 22, when they say don't go to 22 states, and you as a citizen of a country, like my brother is a citizen of one of the countries in the West. The other time he said he was coming back. I called him, I said, you're coming back? Where? To Nigeria. He said, yes, come back to Nigeria. I thought those things their country are talking about, that Nigerians are already used to. I said, no, it's not like you used to know. it is worse right now.
It was.
So if you hear your country's government say, don't go to 22 states, and you choose to go to one of the states and anything happens to you, and now even the insecurity is not just mere insecurity of kidnappers. If you're not kidnapped by terrorists, you might be kidnapped by floods. You might just stay in the place and flood to carry you away. So the insecurity has even worsened. Yes.
Thank you so much, comrade. It's been a pleasure to have you on the program to share your thoughts on excellent issues in the country today, in the country's corner. Comrade, I look forward to seeing more of you on the program.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
My name is Winnie for the Bogo. Where you ask, I look forward to seeing you same time, same station tomorrow. Bye.
Thank you for watching. For sponsorship and advert placements, please contact 080-3688-6158. Last Word Leadership Podcast Studio. You have the last word.